I remember that was on TV when I was a kid, and I think it was a TV movie maybe when I was a kid.
From tragic plane crashes to eerie premonitions, rock and roll history is filled with devastating losses that changed the music forever. These heartbreaking accidents didn't just end promising careers, they reshaped entire genres and left an indelible mark on popular culture. Today we'll see 30 heartbreaking rock and roll tragedies that changed music history forever. 1. Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and J.P. the Big Bopper Richardson, the tragic flight of 1959. February 3rd, 1959 marks one of music's darkest days. Rising stars Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and J.P. the Big Bopper Richardson perished in a devastating plane crash that would later be immortalized as the day the music died. During their winter dance party tour, facing brutal conditions and constant bus breakdowns, Buddy Holly decided to charter a small Beechcraft Bonanza plane. What followed was a series of fateful decisions. J.P. Richardson, suffering from flu, convinced Waylon Jennings to give up his seat. 17-year-old Richie Valens won his spot through a simple coin toss, a moment that would seal his fate. Minutes after takeoff from Mason City, Iowa, the plane crashed into a snowy field, claimed by treacherous weather and pilot inexperience. 2. Eddie Cochran's final journey. 1960 saw another rock pioneer lost too soon. Eddie Cochran, whose raw rockabilly sound inspired countless British musicians, including the Beatles, was riding high on a massively successful UK tour. On April 17th, after a show in Bristol, a late-night taxi ride turned tragic. The vehicle, carrying Cochran, Gene Vincent, Sharon Shealy, and their tour manager, spun out of control on a dark Chippenham road, claiming Eddie's life at just 21. 3. Otis Reading, the King of Soul's last flight. Otis Redding's voice could move mountains, but on December 10th, 1967, it was silenced forever. Just days after recording Sittin' on the Dock of the Bay, his private Beechcraft H-18 plunged into Wisconsin's Lake Monona. The crash claimed Redding and 6 others, including 4 members of the Bar-Kays. Only Ben Cauley survived, clinging to a seat cushion in the freezing waters. The song Redding had just recorded would become his first and only #1 hit, released posthumously as a testament to his incredible talent. 4. Brian Jones, the mysterious death of a Rolling Stone. Brian Jones, the founding architect of the Rolling Stones sound, was a musical virtuoso whose troubled life came to a mysterious end. His innovative multi-instrumental talents helped shape the band's early success, bringing exotic sounds and experimental techniques to rock music. The story of Brian Jones's death remains one of rock's most enigmatic tragedies. On July 2nd, 1969, the founding member of the Rolling Stones was discovered lifeless at the bottom of his swimming pool at Cotford Farm. At just 27 years old, his death marked the beginning of what would become known as the 27 Club. Jones's final years were marked by a devastating spiral into substance abuse. The coroner's report revealed the toll, severe damage to both his heart and liver from years of drug and alcohol use. While officially ruled as death by misadventure, the circumstances surrounding his passing remain controversial. His girlfriend, Anna Wolin, maintained that Jones still had a pulse when pulled from the pool, but medical help arrived too late. The music world mourned deeply. Pete Townsend of The Who crafted a touching poem, while Jimi Hendrix dedicated a performance to his fallen friend. Jim Morrison of The Doors penned a haunting tribute, unaware that both he and Hendrix would join Jones in the 27 Club within 2 years. 5. Mark Bolan, the glam rock star's final ride. In a cruel twist of fate, T-Rex frontman Mark Bolan's greatest fear became reality. Despite never learning to drive due to his premonition of dying in a car crash, Bolan's life ended in exactly that way on September 16, 1977. After a night at a London club, his girlfriend Gloria Jones lost control of their Mini Cooper, striking a tree in Barnes. While Gloria survived with serious injuries, the 29-year-old glam rock pioneer died instantly. The impact of Bolan's death reverberated through the music world. The architect of hits like Get It On and Children of the Revolution was mourned by rock royalty, including David Bowie and Rod Stewart at London's Golders Green Crematorium. His ashes found their final rest beneath a rose bush, a fitting tribute to his poetic soul. 6. Terry Kath. Chicago's founding guitarist Terry Kath's life ended in a horrific accident on January 23, 1978. Known for his powerful voice and soulful playing, the 31-year-old musician died while handling a 9mm pistol at a friend's party. Believing the weapon unloaded, Kath tragically overlooked a round in the chamber. 7. Johnny Burnett. The loss of Johnny Burnett, a rockabilly pioneer, came equally suddenly. On August 14, 1964, the 30-year-old musician's unlit fishing boat was struck by a larger vessel on Clear Lake, California. The collision threw him into the dark waters, silencing one of rock's most influential voices forever. 8. The Allman Brothers' double tragedy. The Allman Brothers Band endured not one, but two devastating losses that would forever change their sound and story. Duane Allman, the band's pioneering guitarist, met his fate on October 29, 1971. Known for his masterful slide guitar work that helped define Southern rock, Duane was riding his beloved Harley Davidson through Macon, Georgia during a tour break. When a flatbed truck suddenly stopped, the 24-year-old guitarist swerved but couldn't avoid disaster. The impact sent him flying, and despite emergency medical efforts, his internal injuries proved fatal. 9. Barry Oakley. In an almost unbelievable twist, bassist Barry Oakley died just over a year later, on November 11, 1972. The eerie similarities were chilling. Same age, same city, even the same mode of transportation. After colliding with a city bus just 3 blocks from Duane's accident site, Oakley initially refused treatment. Hours later, when disorientation set in, it was too late. A cerebral hemorrhage claimed another musical genius. 10. Ronnie Vanzant. October 20th, 1977 marked a tragic turning point for Southern rock when Lynyrd Skynyrd's Converse CV-240 plummeted into Mississippi wilderness. Lead singer Ronnie Vanzant, who had eerily predicted he wouldn't see 30, died instantly along with guitarist Steve Gaines and backup singer Cassie Gaines. The plane, plagued with mechanical issues that passengers had noticed before takeoff, ran out of fuel near Gillsburg. Vanzant's powerful voice and poetic lyrics had given the world classics like Sweet Home Alabama and Freebird, songs that would become his eternal legacy. 11. Jim Reeves, The Gentleman's Final Flight. Gentleman Jim Reeves, whose velvet voice bridged country and rock, took his final flight on July 31, 1964. Piloting his Beechcraft Debonair through stormy Nashville skies, Reeves and his manager Dean Manuel were returning from a real estate meeting. His smooth crossover style had earned him fans across genres, making his loss felt throughout the music world. The tragic tale of Gentleman Jim Reeves reached its devastating conclusion on July 31, 1964. Flying through treacherous Nashville skies, Reeves and his manager Dean Manuel encountered a violent thunderstorm that would seal their fate. At the controls of his Beechcraft Debonair, Reeves, still relatively inexperienced as a pilot, found himself battling conditions that would challenge even seasoned aviators. Witnesses later reported seeing the small aircraft struggling against the tempest. In a desperate attempt to maintain course, Reeves tried following the road below, a common but dangerous practice in poor visibility. The plane's airspeed dropped dangerously low, causing a fatal stall before plunging into a densely wooded area. Despite an extensive search effort led by country music legends Ernest Tubb and Marty Robbins, the wreckage remained hidden for 42 agonizing hours. The discovery confirmed the music world's worst fears. Both Reeves and Manuel had perished on impact. 12. Danny Sedron, the unsung hero of rock. Sometimes the most influential figures in rock history remain in the shadows. Danny Sedron, though not a household name, left an indelible mark on music with his revolutionary guitar solo in Rock Around the Clock. His masterful performance helped transform Bill Haley's hit into the definitive anthem of early rock and roll. Tragically, Sedrone never witnessed the song's meteoric rise to fame. Just 10 days after recording the groundbreaking track, fate dealt a cruel hand. On June 17, 1954, at only 33 years old, Sedrone suffered a fatal accident, falling down a staircase and breaking his neck. Though he worked primarily as a session musician, his brief but brilliant contribution forever changed the sound of rock and roll. 13. Randy Rhodes, a guitar virtuoso's final flight. The loss of Randy Rhodes, Ozzy Osbourne's phenomenally talented guitarist, stands as one of rock's most senseless tragedies. On March 19, 1982, while the tour bus was stopped at a Florida airstrip, what began as a playful mourning turned horrifically wrong. The band's bus driver, Andrew Aycock, a licensed pilot, took unauthorized joy rides in a small aircraft belonging to the property. After an initial flight buzzing the tour bus to wake sleeping band members, Aycock convinced Rhodes and makeup artist Rachel Youngblood Aaliyah to join him for a second run. Despite his reluctance to fly, Rhodes brought his camera along to capture aerial photos. During the third dangerous pass at the bus, Aycock lost control. The plane's wing clipped the vehicle, sending the aircraft into a devastating spiral. The resulting crash and explosion claimed all 3 lives instantly, with Rhodes' remains only identifiable through dental records and his jewelry. 14. Marvin Gay, a soul legend's tragic end. April 1st, 1984 marked the shocking conclusion of Marvin Gaye's brilliant career. The voice that gave us What's Going On and Let's Get It On was silenced just 1 day before his 45th birthday in a devastating act of domestic violence that stunned the music world. The tragedy unfolded in the family's Los Angeles home, where long simmering tensions between Marvin and his father, Marvin Gay Sr., reached a breaking point. What began as an argument between his parents escalated when Marvin Jr. intervened. Years of complex family dynamics and his father's strict, often abusive nature culminated in that fateful moment. When the confrontation turned physical, Marvin Sr. retrieved a gun, a decision that would forever alter music history. The confrontation reached its tragic climax when Marvin Gaye Sr. grabbed the .38 caliber pistol, ironically a Christmas gift from his son. In a moment that would forever haunt music history, he fired twice. The first shot struck Marvin's chest, the second his shoulder. Despite paramedics' swift response, the soul legend was pronounced dead at 1:01 p.m. at the California Hospital Medical Center, just 1 day before what would have been his 45th birthday. 15. Cliff Burton, Metallica's Darkest Night. Sometimes, the smallest decisions can have the most devastating consequences. On September 27th, 1986, during Metallica's groundbreaking Damage Inc. tour supporting Master of Puppets, fate dealt a cruel hand through a simple card game. The night before, bassist Cliff Burton and guitarist Kirk Hammett decided to settle their sleeping arrangements with a draw of cards. Burton pulled the ace of spades, claiming Hammett's coveted bunk with a victorious smile. "I want your bunk," he declared, and Hammett, known for his easygoing nature, agreed without protest. That seemingly insignificant moment would prove fateful. In the early hours of the following morning, around 7 a.m., as their tour bus traversed the treacherous Swedish countryside, destiny would reveal its dark purpose. The band members were jolted awake as their bus began to skid on the icy roads near Ljungby, setting in motion a chain of events that would forever change the face of metal music. 15. Cliff Burton, Metallica's Fatal Turns. The tragic events of September 27, 1986 unfolded on Sweden's E4 highway in Kronoberg County, forever changing the course of metal music. As Metallica's tour bus navigated the dark Swedish roads, disaster struck without warning. The vehicle suddenly lost control, skidding violently before flipping onto its side. Cliff Burton, peacefully asleep in what had become his fateful bunk, was thrown through the window and crushed beneath the overturned bus, killing him instantly. The investigation that followed only deepened the tragedy's mystery. While the bus driver claimed black ice caused the accident, James Hetfield's suspicions led him to personally inspect the road, finding no evidence of icy conditions. Swedish authorities later confirmed the road was dry, suggesting driver fatigue as the likely cause. Yet, despite these findings, no charges were ever filed. 16. Stevie Ray Vaughn, The Final Jam. On August 27, 1990, the blues world lost one of its greatest guitarists in a devastating helicopter crash, following an electrifying all-star performance at Wisconsin's Alpine Valley Music Theater, where Vaughn shared the stage with Eric Clapton and other legends. The night's magic turned to tragedy. Facing heavy traffic leaving the venue, Vaughn and 4 others opted for helicopter transport, a routine choice for artists at the time. The Bell 206B helicopter carrying Vaughn, pilot Jeff Brown, Clapton's agent Bobby Brooks, bodyguard Nigel Brown, and tour manager Colin Smith encountered thick fog shortly after takeoff. The pilot, though experienced with fixed-wing aircraft, lacked proper qualification for helicopter navigation in such challenging conditions. The aircraft crashed into a nearby ski hill, claiming all 5 lives instantly. 17. Bob Burns. The music world faced more devastating losses in the years that followed. Bob Burns, Lynyrd Skynyrd's founding drummer, met his end in a 2015 car accident in Georgia. His vehicle veered off course during a late-night drive, striking a tree. A tragic end for the man who helped create Southern rock's signature sound through classics like Freebird and Sweet Home Alabama. 18. Jeff Porcaro. Jeff Porcaro, Toto's legendary drummer, succumbed to a heart attack in 1992 while tending to his garden. Initially attributed to pesticide exposure, the coroner later revealed coronary artery disease, exacerbated by years of cocaine use and smoking, as the true cause. Sandy Denny, the haunting voice of Fairport Convention, left us far too soon in 1978. A fall led to a fatal brain hemorrhage, silencing one of folk rock's most ethereal voices at just 31. Her legacy lives on through timeless songs like Who Knows Where the Time Goes, though her final days were shadowed by personal struggles. 19. Sandy Denny, folk rock's fading voice. The tragic end of Sandy Denny, Fairport Convention's ethereal vocalist, came after years of personal turmoil. Her final months were marked by a devastating spiral of depression, marital difficulties, and substance abuse. Friends and family grew increasingly concerned as her frequent falls became more alarming, a haunting prelude to her ultimate fate. During a March 1978 holiday, Sandy suffered a devastating fall down a staircase, her head striking concrete with brutal force. Though she initially appeared to recover, persistent and severe headaches plagued her in the following days. The final blow came at her home, where another fall proved catastrophic, plunging her into a coma from which she would never emerge. At just 31, one of folk rock's most mesmerizing voices was silenced forever by a brain hemorrhage. 20. Tupac Shakur, hip-hop's lost prophet. September 7th, 1996 marked a turning point in hip-hop history. After attending a Mike Tyson fight at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Tupac Shakur's evening took a dark turn. A confrontation erupted in the lobby between Tupac, Suge Knight, and Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, a gang member previously accused of attempting to rob Tupac's entourage. This altercation, captured on surveillance footage, would later fuel theories about the motivation behind what followed. Later that night, while heading to Club 662, a white Cadillac pulled alongside Tupac's vehicle at a red light. The ensuing spray of gunfire struck the 25-year-old rapper multiple times, twice in the chest, once in the arm, and once in the thigh. Despite desperate medical intervention, Tupac succumbed to internal bleeding 6 days later, leaving an indelible void in the music world. 21. The Notorious BIG, East Coast's final verse. In a chilling echo of Tupac's death, Christopher the Notorious Big Wallace met a similar fate on March 9th, 1997. The 24-year-old rapper had just left an overcrowded Soul Train Awards after party at the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles, where tension hung thick in the air among the 2,000 attendees, including rival gang members. Traveling in a Chevrolet Suburban with his entourage, while Sean Diddy Combs followed in another vehicle, Biggie's final moments came at another red light. A black Chevrolet Impala pulled alongside. Its driver, described as wearing a suit and bow tie, unleashed 4 shots. The final bullet proved fatal, tearing through vital organs before lodging in his shoulder. Despite being rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, the East Coast legend was pronounced dead at 1:15 a.m., marking the end of hip-hop's most turbulent era. 22. Jeff Buckley, a voice lost to the river. The tragic story of Jeff Buckley stands as one of music's most haunting losses. On May 29, 1997, the 30-year-old singer with an otherworldly voice disappeared into the Mississippi River's murky depths. That fateful evening in Memphis, while preparing to record his highly anticipated second album, Buckley decided to take an impromptu swim in Wolf River Harbor. Fully clothed and singing Led Zeppelin's Whole Lotta Love, he waded into the seemingly calm waters. His roadie, Keith Fody, remained on shore, briefly turning away to move their equipment from the water's edge. When a passing tugboat created unexpected waves, Buckley vanished beneath the surface, swept away by the vessel's powerful wake. Despite an extensive search effort that night and the following days, hope diminished with each passing hour. 6 days later, on June 4th, a passenger aboard a riverboat spotted Buckley's body tangled in riverside branches. The autopsy revealed no drugs or alcohol in his system, confirming what many already knew. A simple, tragic accident had silenced one of music's most promising voices forever. 23. Aaliyah, the Princess of R&B's final flight. August 25, 2001 marked another devastating loss when 22-year-old R&B sensation Aaliyah perished in a catastrophic plane crash. Fresh from filming her Rock the Boat video in the Bahamas, the star and her team made a fateful decision to depart early on an overloaded Cessna 402B. The aircraft, carrying 9 passengers and equipment exceeding its weight limit by 700 pounds, struggled to gain altitude. Moments after takeoff, it plunged to the ground just 200 feet from the runway, erupting into flames. The investigation revealed a perfect storm of negligence, an unqualified pilot with traces of cocaine and alcohol in his system, and a dangerously overloaded aircraft. 24. Dimebag Darrell and Left Eye, 2 icons, 2 tragedies. December 8, 2004 witnessed one of rock's most violent tragedies. During a damage-planned performance in Columbus, Ohio, Dimebag Darrell, Pantera's legendary guitarist, was gunned down on stage by a deranged fan. The horrific incident claimed 4 lives before police intervention ended the rampage. The metal community united in grief, with Eddie Van Halen fulfilling Dimebag's wish by placing his iconic black and yellow striped guitar in the custom Kiss casket. In another devastating loss, TLC's Lisa Left Eye Lopez died in a car crash on April 25, 2002 in Honduras. The 30-year-old artist, whose creative spirit helped make TLC one of history's best-selling girl groups, was filming a documentary when tragedy struck, cutting short a brilliant career that had only begun to realize its full potential. 25. Lisa Left Eye Lopez, a documentary's dark turn. In the spring of 2002, TLC's vibrant force, Lisa Left Eye Lopez, was seeking spiritual renewal in Honduras. Working on a documentary about her personal journey, she couldn't have known these would be her final days. While driving through the countryside with friends and family, a moment of crisis struck. Swerving to avoid an oncoming truck, Lopez lost control of her rented SUV. The vehicle rolled multiple times, ejecting 4 passengers through the windows. Tragically, Lopez, who wasn't wearing a seatbelt, suffered fatal head injuries. In a cruel twist of fate, the documentary cameras captured the entire incident, adding a haunting dimension to her legacy. While she was the accident's only fatality, the loss sent shockwaves through the music industry. Thousands gathered in Georgia to bid farewell to the creative spark that helped make TLC one of history's most successful girl groups. 26. Ricky Nelson, New Year's Eve Nightmare. December 31st, 1985 marked the tragic end of rockabilly pioneer Ricky Nelson. The teen idol turned rock star was flying to Dallas for a New Year's Eve performance when disaster struck. His Douglas DC-3, already notorious for mechanical issues, developed problems mid-flight when a malfunctioning heater in the tail section ignited. As toxic smoke filled the cabin, the pilots attempted an emergency landing. The aircraft, fighting against fate, clipped trees and electrical lines before crashing. While both pilots survived, all 7 passengers, including Nelson, perished. The subsequent investigation confirmed the faulty heater as the catalyst for the catastrophe, adding another chapter to rock's tragic history. 27. Amy Winehouse, the 27 Club's latest member. On July 23, 2011, the world lost one of its most distinctive voices when Amy Winehouse joined the infamous 27 Club. In her final hours, she seemed relatively normal, laughing and watching television with her bodyguard, though still struggling with alcohol. The next morning brought devastating news when she was found unresponsive in her Camden home. The coroner's report revealed a shocking blood alcohol level, more than 5 times the legal driving limit. This massive intoxication led to respiratory arrest, silencing the voice behind Rehab and Back to Black forever. Despite widespread speculation, toxicology reports found no illegal substances, suggesting alcohol alone had claimed yet another musical genius. The investigation into Amy Winehouse's death revealed a devastating reality. Her blood alcohol level reached a staggering 0.416%, more than 5 times the legal driving limit. Empty bottles scattered throughout her Camden home painted a picture of her final struggle. Despite years of battling various addictions, toxicology reports showed alcohol alone had claimed the voice that gave us Back to Black and Rehab. 28. Dennis Wilson. The Beach Boys drummer Dennis Wilson met his end in Marina del Rey's waters on December 28, 1983. Battling substance abuse, Wilson made the fatal decision to dive into the marina, searching for items he'd thrown overboard years earlier during a domestic dispute. The troubled musician succumbed to shallow water blackout, drowning in the same waters that had inspired so many of his band's iconic songs. 29. Dolores O'Riordan. Similarly tragic was the loss of the Cranberries' lead singer, Dolores O'Riordan, on January 15, 2018. Found unresponsive in her London hotel bathtub while working on new music, O'Riordan's death was later attributed to accidental drowning, with alcohol intoxication as a significant factor. The loss of her distinctive voice left an irreplaceable void in alternative rock. 30. Taylor Hawkins, the Foo Fighters' heartbreaking loss. March 25, 2022 marked another dark day in rock history when Foo Fighters' beloved drummer Taylor Hawkins was found unresponsive in his Bogota hotel room. Earlier that evening, Hawkins had complained of chest pains, prompting an immediate call to emergency services. Despite their swift response and desperate attempts to revive him, the 50-year-old drummer was pronounced dead at the scene. The subsequent investigation painted a complex picture. Preliminary toxicology reports indicated the presence of multiple substances, including opioids and benzodiazepines. However, perhaps most alarming was the condition of Hawkins' heart, reportedly weighing in at roughly twice the size of a normal heart for a man his age, suggesting underlying health issues that may have contributed to his untimely death. These stories remind us that behind the glamour and glory of rock stardom lies human fragility. While these legends may be gone, their music and influence continue to shape generations. Share your thoughts below on which story impacted you most, or suggest artists you'd like us to cover next.